I'm from Myland, Burdett, and I'm an avid user of the youth service. I've been going to Spotlight for the last 4 years, but today I just felt the need to take time out of my schedule to talk about this issue. Us young people, we shouldn't have to come to a place like this and fight for our future. The youth services do more for us than our schools, I would say. They help us with stuff that we cannot go to our parents. Currently, the way knife crime has been increasing, the amount of mental health problems people are facing, why would you even think about cutting budgets for youth services? We need this as young people. By doing this, you are neglecting us, leaving us out to dry. You are causing problems for our future. Us young people, we need our youth services. By cutting budgets, you're not doing yourself any favours. Everything you're doing here should be carried on by the young people, but by cutting our budgets, you're leaving us out to dry and there'll be no progression. Therefore, I am proposing that you don't cut any budgets, but instead you increase the budget for the youth, because we need this for everything. For London needs this, the whole UK, they need an increase in youth services. Us young people, we have nowhere to go. Our youth services, that's our safe haven. This is somewhere where we can feel free to be ourselves. When we go out on the streets, we see lots of problems. There's knife crime rising, done by young people as well, who, if they were in the youth service, they wouldn't be able to do that. Mental health issues. This is stuff that is very taboo amongst us Asian parents. But with our youth workers, they keep an open mind and they take everything into account. Therefore, by doing this, you're helping young people. But instead, in Tower Hamlets, we decided to go backwards and decide to cut the funding. What good is that doing for us young people?
Okay. Do we have any questions for Mr. Rahman? Okay, so, I mean, the proposal, I know that you've come of your own free will, obviously, as have a number of people in the audience, but Mr. Bhattacharjee, yep, too many syllables for me to, that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with your name, by the way. But he came to see me at 8 o'clock on Monday morning with Steve Stride from the Harker and told me he'd be bringing people to the meeting on Wednesday this week because he was unhappy with the proposals in front of us. He presented a 4-page paper which I think has been made available to cabinet members, but if not, it can be. And for the record, if we extend the contract for another year, then the Harker will receive the same budget. And the amount of money it has managed to lever in addition to that through the Mayor of London's funding, for example, is massive. And as I said earlier, I'm not making any proposal which will reduce the capacity of youth services in our borough, which I agree with you, Mr. Rahman, are massively important for people in the borough. I know this has been a political issue in the past with a small p, and I've made a very solid effort to avoid it becoming a political issue into the future. We will still have one of the largest youth service budgets in London. One of the reasons why I was hesitant with this report is because I'm anxious that we present all of the facts about what we expect, how we're going to make sure the service performs, how we're going to make sure young people help to shape the service, how we make sure that it effectively reaches people. I'm pretty certain that we would not, by the way, be getting rid of the entire council youth service workforce, as I think the previous speaker suggested, because there would still be a considerable in-house service. And if you look at paragraph 3.9.2, it tells you that about £500,000 of the budget will continue to fund a youth service in-house in the council, in addition to support that we provide to other organisations which will help them to provide services in the borough. So, I mean, I'd be very happy to come and meet you and your fellow young people. I mean, if you want to do a meeting at the Spotlight even, which is a fantastic centre, I'd be very happy to do that, and we can chew the fat on these issues further, because it is really important and I take it very seriously, and I never sort of hide behind a desk and pretend that in some way we can make decisions here without facing up with people to the responsibility we have. So I'd be very happy to come and meet you and talk about this. If this report does go ahead, then two things would happen. One is extending the current contract for a year, which is for the commission service, and the other is a detailed design of the future service, which includes consultation, which includes report to the cabinet, which will be open to scrutiny, which I think would what I would expect to include public consultation meetings with yourselves to talk about how we can make it work effectively. Because I'm very committed to making sure the youth service works even better. One of the good things about the service we have at present, when you look particularly at the tables on page, for the record, on page 112 of the agenda, which is table 5 and table 6, is it tells you how, particularly with the commission provision, there's been a phenomenal delivery above the targets that were set. Obviously, you can never take these things for granted, but it tells me that there's a lot of very good quality work taking place. And just for the record, by the way, a lot of our in-house service is doing great work as well, and we want to retain a lot of the good work that is happening already within the council. What it doesn't tell you, this report, in that body of the report, that tells you in the appendices, is how much work is happening with other voluntary sector organisations, faith organisations, grant funding through the various trusts in London. There are some projects funded through lottery funding. As I said, the Mayor of London is putting quite a lot of money into Tower Hamlets, which is in Appendix 4. Appendix 3 tells you that we're funding quite a lot of youth activities through our grant funding programme. So we are putting a lot of money into the youth service in the borough. It will continue to be one of the largest in London. As I think Councillor Hassel said, it's quite difficult to compare different youth services because they put different things in. So some boroughs in their youth budget will include their, what's the acronym? The youth offending team and service, and others will not. But I'm very happy, and I'd like us to be challenged on benchmarking and make sure that we provide a good service. I'm very happy for you to come back, Mr. Rahman, if you want, because this is an important matter, and I'm pleased that you come here this evening to make your views known, and others in the audience have as well, because it is an important matter. And I know that Babu, when he's not bringing 4-page papers denouncing what we're proposing to do, and I sit down quite regularly together to talk about how we can make the services work better across the borough. And the Harker does at present provide a fantastic service, partly because it brings value as well through its own accommodation by using your various hubs, including the Spotlight Centre. But did you want to come back quickly?
Also, another thing I would say was, you done this proposal, but none of us young people actually consulted about it. Because everybody I have here in the audience, not a single one of them knew about this before today. So that's another problem. How can you make decisions about our future without consulting us? And so that's also something I want to address.
Okay.